Sometimes as a cinematographer, you're asked to shoot shots that will have visual effects applied to them in post-production. But shooting visual effects shots can be a tricky business. Some shots that look great from a cinematography perspective are just unusable from a visual effects perspective. Now, in a perfect world, you would have a visual effects supervisor on set. These folks are there to help you film your visual effects shots so they don't cause additional problems in post-production. But on a lot of lower budget shoots, your production might not be able to afford or even find a visual effects supervisor. So in this tutorial, I wanted to give you a very brief crash course in shooting visual effects. In the upcoming courses on visual effects, we'll talk in great detail about visual effects. I recommend watching those because understanding visual effects technology is really the key to doing this right. You don't have to be able to do visual effects, but you should be familiar with the basic techniques, technology, and workflow. It also helps to be aware of what makes visual effects shots difficult or impossible. Okay, here's some tips. If you're shooting on a green screen, it's usually preferable to light the screen with daylight balanced lights rather than tungsten balanced lights. And as we'll see in the visual effects courses, when shooting exterior effects shots, it's usually better to shoot outdoors and bring a portable green screen rather than trying to set this up in an indoor studio. Trying to replicate sunlight in a green screen studio is extremely difficult and usually results in shots that don't composite well. Also, make sure your green screen is clean and free of wrinkles. Now, I have a list of quick tips here for you. Because the reasoning behind these things gets kind of detailed, I'm just going to give you very quick explanations on these, and you'll have to trust me. Or watch the visual effects courses. For shots where a background will be removed and you don't have access to a green screen, make sure you choose a background that is very different from the subject. For this shot in the Assurance, we couldn't get our portable green screen to fill this space, so we just got rid of it and used the wood chips in the background. My thinking here was that a really tough shot like this would create some great training. Well, let me tell you what, that was one of the stupidest ideas I have ever had in my life. Now, I think the shot came out pretty good, but working on it was an absolute nightmare. So make sure the subject really pops from the background if you absolutely can't get a green screen. But seriously, you should just get a green screen. Now, be careful about things that obscure the area that will have visual effects applied to it. When you have to put effects behind an object in post, that can mean anything from a mild annoyance to a deal breaker, making the visual effects shot impossible. Avoid a shallow depth of field with visual effects shots. Feathered edges are difficult and time-consuming to remove and often can't be removed well. Make sure to get clean plates. A clean plate is just a shot of the background without the characters. If the visual effects artist doesn't have a clean plate, they will have to reconstruct one, which is a really time-consuming task, or it can be. For these shots of the goodbye scene, we decided in post-production to remove the guys in the background. Well, when you cut these guys out, it just leaves a big hole, and that hole needs to be filled with the background. Now, since I didn't get clean plates of the background on set, I had to make one in Photoshop using other parts of the shot when the girls moved around or before and after takes. It was a little rough. So just let the camera roll without people in the shot to get a clean plate. For shots that will be motion tracked, make sure that there is enough detail in the shot. For green screen shots with the moving camera that you need to track, you might need to put green tracking markers on the screen so that the tracking software can understand the shot. Also make sure that there's enough light throughout the whole scene. Even if an area would look better in shadow, tracking software needs data to understand the scene. So if you have areas that are crushed to black or areas that are blown out to white, these areas are impossible to track. In some cases, you might want to use a slightly faster shutter speed so there's a little less motion blur. Now, I'm sure we could go on here, but this is enough to get you thinking about the types of things that will help out your visual effects. This not only helps out your production by keeping the post-production budget down, but it also ensures that the visual effects look better, which reflects well on you as director of photography.